Good morning, everyone. Bienvenidos. Buenos días a todos. Vamos a dar comienzo a la conferencia de prensa. We're going to start press conference. So first question, please let us know if you have other questions. You can write it in the chat box. Pueden escribir en el área de mensajes. Primera pregunta. No questions.
It's a perfectly clear presentation by Robert.
I just have a question.
Go ahead, Alex. Cyber News.
Sí,
I would like to know the status of the discussion regarding the proposal for the University of Puerto Rico about the funds that the workers' union requested. That's a question for Robert. Es una pregunta para Robert. So about the University of Puerto Rico and the employees, the proposal for the union's proposal. I just wanted to know about the status.
We're still in conversations with the university on that, on identifying both the resources and actually more of the terms themselves. So there were conversations as late as yesterday. I think conversations continue this morning. So we hope to be able to, get to an agreement that's fair. On the university, to be clear, we have, working with the government, have put an increase in the budget of about 20% for the university this year, over $102 million. We also spent 8 months working with both the university and other stakeholders on dealing with the issues that UPR faces going forward. So the issue with the employees is an important one. We need to deal with faculty, the teaching faculty as well. So priority of ours is to get money into the classroom and deal with some of the challenges that UPR faces, which many universities face, and many public universities are facing challenges that relate to demographic shifts. UPR has faced a 32% decrease in enrollment. And part of coming out of our conversations with the university has been these 4 strategic initiatives that are designed to improve the class offerings. They're designed to improve how students get classes and making sure that they have classes that are available, making sure their credits transfer, and making sure that the offerings are ones that students need, so they're choosing UPR over other university systems. So we're speaking about the narrower issue that relates to the non-teaching staff and that contract, and we're working through that. But we're also working on other things to make sure that the additional funds that we've set aside for the university, right, are being put into the classroom and result in changes, because as the environment changes and the economy changes, universities generally, right, need to make changes to adjust to the needs of the students. And that's where we're focused on.
And if I'm permitted to ask one more question, in regards to the budget, do you foresee any changes in the amount? Would it remain the same, or would it increase for this fiscal year?
I think we still have to talk to the government about the overall budget. So we just sent over the overall targets. This year, we had an increase of $102 million. That, as was proposed last year, was non-recurring, the $102 million. Now we're going to speak to the government about what the priorities are for next year and where those dollars are going to go. But that's a conversation for us in the government and work with the legislature. Overall, all right, the money is available for the entire government, right, have increased by 3%, which reflects an increase right, in the amount of resources that are available. But we still need to work that out with the government before we make a decision on what the future funding level is going to be.
Thank you, Alex. I see Oscar Serrano has his hand raised, so go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
And let me just clarify, because you asked three things. Was it going to go down, stay the same, or go up? It's not going down. So we're not reducing, right, the amount. Again, there was one amount that was non-recurring, and the question is what's going to happen with that going forward. That's a conversation with the government. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I have a couple of questions. One, what's up with the salary increase for the judges? Where is that process standing?
So you've been following it as well as we have. This is a dispute between the judiciary branch and the legislative branch. These are serious issues between them. Some of it are constitutional issues. We're trying to give space for the parties to work out a deal because ultimately it's the responsibility of the legislature and the government, right, to resolve this issue. I know there are requests for the Oversight Board to step in and resolve it on behalf of the government, and the board is willing to do that if necessary. But we think we want to give space for the constitutional conversations to happen as was envisioned. So we're looking at the decision. We've had conversations with the government. I've had conversations with the legislature, and we're seeing if they can work something out that is mutually agreeable before the Oversight Board acts unilaterally.
So if you're giving space for a deal to happen, then I guess you don't think the court ruling is enough.
We're still looking at the court ruling. So there's a lot in that court ruling. And it's about timing, right? So it's about whether you do it immediately. There are some complications there, right? Because there is an ongoing funding commitment that has to be made, which means that these funds have to be in the budget each year, recurring. You've heard comments from the legislature about that. So we have to do a budget, and the budget has to get done by June 30th. And we hope this gets resolved before that because we don't want this to be an obstacle there. But we're mindful of the court's ruling, and we're also mindful of, the legislative process here as well. So hopefully, again, it can be worked out. If not, then we'll talk to the board about what the next steps are.
Okay, one last area before I have to let go of my turn this time around. As a follow-up to Alex regarding the university, the explanation you just gave sounds, and let me know if I'm wrong or not, but it sounds like you will also be looking into the content of the academic offering that the university has. If it's up to standard.
Oscar, can you just start again, because
sure,
you were cutting out a little bit on my connection. I couldn't hear.
Sure. I'm
So
sorry.
just
That's just Liberty, the worst internet service ever. I was saying that as a follow-up to Alex's question regarding the UPR, sounds to me, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like one of the things you're gonna be looking into is the content of the academic offering that the university has for students. If it's up to par, if it's up to date, if it's what you think should be offered from the university at this point. Am I right?
Is that it? Was that the question?
Yes.
Yeah, I hope
Okay.
you got it completely.
Yeah. So we're not going to make the judgments for the university right on what those things need to be. And again, that's why we've had a lot of conversations, both with the governing board, university president, and others. I think the point is that they're going to have to make those decisions and those changes. But we just want to make sure those conversations are actually happening. And to the extent that we're going to add additional resources, right, let's not add them to the status quo. Let's make sure that the additional resources, the 20% increase is not an insignificant increase, right? So let's make sure that as we're adding additional resources, we're putting them in the places where they're needed the most and also where they help, right, with the academic mission, which is the main goal of the university, right? The academic mission. So, I've read the stories, you have. And we just want to make sure those improvements actually happen. You don't actually need more plans, right? You need more execution on these things. And if resources are being an issue, we want to make sure that resources are there to help assist in the transformation that just has to happen. So we're not going to be telling the university what academic offerings they are, but they should use data to make these determinations, right? What are students looking for? Is that aligned with your offerings in various ways? Where are they? Make sure they're aligned and then go forward. So kind of like stimulate the conversation, have the resources set aside for that purpose. But we're not making those determinations. Those determinations need to be made, with the governing body and the university.
I don't want to stall the conference. You were cut off a lot during the answers. So if Silvet can provide me a recording later, that's okay.
Will do. Okay, we will move to next question. I think it was Efrain from Montalban from Nuevo Dia, then will be Gloria and then Robert Slavin. Efrain, go ahead.
Yes, maybe a following up question about the UPR. What do you have to say about the UPR pension system? They are still in dispute in court, and I would like to know what happened with the pension system of UPR.
So I think there is some court action there. The governing board did act. Can you hear me okay? Or am I cutting in and out?
I hear you.
Okay there.
You're
Okay. With regard to the pension system, there is legal action. The governing board has acted. It is not the same as some of the changes that were in prior approved fiscal plans. And there is concern about the solvency, right, of their pension plan. But we want to have a whole conversation overall about the fiscal health of UPR. The pension system is one aspect of their fiscal health. It's not the only thing. And we're having those conversations with the university and others about how the university moves forward. The issue just really is, it's one about, finite amount of resources and where those resources are going to go. But I know that there's legal action right now, so I think we have to let that play out.
Perfect. I have one more about PREPA. Is the board prepared for the court process that will begin next week? And what are your chances to success and judge approve your plan?
Yeah. I'm not going to say too much about it because it's a couple of days away.
I know.
But we have a plan that we believe is fair, that we believe is equitable. We have a lot of support for the plan, and we think it's confirmable. And we believe we're prepared for next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Gloria Gonzalez.
Thank you. Robert, follow up on that PREPA question. I'm curious if the board is making plans for an appeal of whatever the hearing, the confirmation decision is, given that bondholders, as you mentioned earlier, are objecting to the plan. And I suspect that even if Swain approves the plan, that there will be an appeal. I'm curious about your thoughts for your preparation for that.
No, David, if you want to answer that, I think we're prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say we're not planning for that. We're planning for the confirmation trial next week. And as Robert said, we're excited about the plan. We think it's fair, and we have lots of support for it. And we're hopeful that Judge Swain will we'll confirm it. That's really what we're focusing on now. And then whatever she says, we'll respond to, but we're hoping that she's going to confirm it.
Thank you, Chairman. Robert Slavin, question?
Yes. The board is supposed to operate with 7 members. Right now you have Biggs, Gonzalez, Nixon, Rosa, a Sabatier is coming on board, and Esquil. That's 6. So I was wondering if someone on the board could tell me what the status is in DC in terms of getting a 7th board member.
So, Rob, I would just say that, the congressional leaders, right, make the appointments here. We receive the appointments from the White House once the White House selects the leaders that have been submitted. We're not really privy to that process until after the White House acts. So the board is functioning fine with the members that are here. And we'll look forward to any additional members once the White House approves them and they work through their process.
I'll just add to that we have functioned with less than 7 members before, and in late 2020 for a period of several months we had at one point we just had 4 members. So we are fully functional. We're looking forward to the new appointments, but we're fully functional and we're moving forward.
They are working on it. We do know that, but they've got things going on back there right now that are kind of keeping them busy. But we do know that they are working on the appointment process.
Thank you all. Robert, any other question?
No.
Okay. Any other members of the press has questions? Okay, Andrea Cruz. Go ahead.
¿Me escucha?
Sí, yes.
Sí.
Sí, buenas tardes. I would like to know how the conversations with the employees in Centro Médico are going. I know that La Junta presented a new proposal and they were waiting for them to see it, and I would like to know if any conversations have continued.
I think, as I
Robert.
said publicly, and I think Sobat can speak to this a little bit. There are conversations that are ongoing. The parties are listening to each other, and we're seeing, we're trying to see if they can make progress there. I think the parties have agreed. They're working in good faith and having discussions about what each other's positions are. And, we hope we can make progress there. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, and right now we are in confidential agreement, so that's all for now that we can say about that. Any other question?
I think Oscar was asking if he could do another round in the chat.
Oscar, do you want another round?
If you consider another one, I mean.
Go
So
ahead.
if there's no one else, I would just like to make a couple more questions. Regarding that last thing, Centro Médico thing, I mean, are you gonna be stepping in to these labor matters from now on? I mean, it looks like certain groups have made salary demands, and it turned out that is falling on your desk, and you've had to step in, something that didn't happen before. So are we gonna see this more often?
So I think one, it's about resources. When it comes to Centro Médico, they are subsidized by the government. So we would have to approve the resources that are needed, right, for any agreement there. So that's one. Secondly, is a contract involved, and the contracts are subject to the board's approval. So we're in a different time right now, and as we make investments in different places, we want to make sure that the investments that we make, right, are consistent with the fiscal plan. So that's where we are. This is not an intention to do anything more than what we have done before. It is that we have to approve the resources. We have to make the resources, make sure that when we have the resources, and two, they're consistent with the fiscal plan, and they're consistent across the government generally.
And when you say contract, you mean the general agreement, right, between the union and the government? I mean, it is a contract.
Correct. It is a contract, and to the extent that there are elements of it that are both economic, right, and have other provisions that impact the finances, right, of the Commonwealth, those are all subject to our approval.
Another thing, you had a recent letter to the newly appointed Treasury Secretary about the comprehensive CAFRs, and I forgot the acronym. And you had a last paragraph there regarding termination of the board, where you reminded that some fiscal practices are part of what's needed for the board to consider its job done. And I was wondering if you have already started counting down budgets and balanced budgets that would count towards the board having completed their duty in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Let's remember, Oscar, there's two provisions, right? There's one is related to consecutive balanced budgets under modified accrual. I think we have to remember under modified accrual is a significant standard because it includes all liabilities, right, incurred in that year. The second provision, which is actually the first in the statute, is that you have to have access to the credit markets at reasonable rates. So when we talk about the financial practices, they're about that first provision. The financial practices that led to the bankruptcy need to be reformed so you don't have that happen again. That is what the credit markets look for. I did this for 7 years in New York. We had a very high credit rating. We had the highest credit rating when I left there in 60 years. There are certain basic financial management practices that did not exist here prior for decades, right? And those things are contributed to the bankruptcy. So when we consider that we have to reduce the debt to make it affordable, and then you have to have balanced budgets, then you also have to have access to the credit markets, and access to the credit cards implies that they have to regain trust and confidence in both the financial reporting and what's being said and the financial practices. So when we talk about those reforms, what we want to do is make sure that there are reforms in place, financial management practices, and we can all go to the markets and say, these things are dramatically improved than what they were. These are things that every state issuer that has an investment grade rating, right, does these things. And we've identified some of those things that we think need to get done. The government has been working with us closely on many of these things, but there are other things that just, haven't been on the table, and we just want to make sure that's happened. And these are all things that I've been working on before, and things that have been done in many states that are creditworthy, that do have ratings. So I think we just have to go back to as we move past the bankruptcies, now how do we restore fiscal responsibility, and how do we restore confidence and trust that the same mistakes that happened before don't happen again. And some of that are structural, and some of those are procedural. And then you have to deal with other things, right? And the legislature, et cetera. So those are the things, and you'll see more of some of those, financial practice reform we're talking about.
So do we have one balanced budget already, or how many?
I think we may have, yes. So on that one, we don't have the financial statements, and I think that was the report that you're referencing. So we have to see about modified accrual and check. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think we may have one, but it's subject to making sure that we've touched on some of these other elements, and we don't have the information to confirm that yet.
So we don't have one officially yet.
We don't have one officially yet. but we may have one. We may have one.
We
Thank
need to move to other question. Kevin Mead has one question. Go ahead, Kevin. Can you hear? Do you hear us, Kevin? No. We cannot hear you. Well, I mean, you can always send a question, Kevin, and we can answer via email. Is that okay? Or if you're having problems with your connection, not sure. Okay, any other question before we finish? Okay. Well, we conclude our press conference. Thank you, everyone. Gracias a
Thanks,
todos.
everybody.